Welcome to Strength in the Numbers. My name is Andrew Cott, accountant, author, and commercial finance entrepreneur, and it's my job each week to bring you leaders in finance and business and deconstruct with them their real stories, insights, and hard-won lessons into practical advice on the key strengths and qualities you need to remain relevant in accounting and finance today, as well as the steps you can begin to take to elevate the impact you make to have a fun, successful, and rewarding career in accounting and finance. Now let's go over to the show. Hi everyone, and welcome to a rather special edition of Strength in the Numbers. Now, believe it or not, we've made it to 150 episodes and have had an audience in 145 countries so far. And I just want to say a big thanks to our audience, but also our guest mentors who donate their time for free to come on and share their hard-won lessons and experiences with our audience, so we perhaps have a easier journey of it as we figure out our path through finance and try and become more influential and be involved in solving those meaningful problems for our organizations where we can make the most impact and also get the most fun experiences throughout our career. And what a better way to honor our guest mentors than by sharing the advice of their mentors. So what we've done is compiled from 12 of our guest mentors the best bits of advice they've ever received from their mentors and share those with you. And there's some real cracking bits in there. You know, there's not many places where you get a combined decades and maybe even centuries worth of experience all in the space of the next 25-30 minutes. So hope you really enjoyed as much as we did putting it together. And just like our mentors do, if you find something useful and it works for you, please share it with others so that they can benefit from it too. And again, really thank you for investing your time with us today. So without further ado, over to the show.
The opportunity is ours to seize it. And so if that is a goal of yours, and it certainly is of mine, make it known, tell as many people as you can that, hey,
Definitely.
Look, I do want to serve on a board, whether it's a nonprofit or, if you want to be a paid board member. And if it is your goal to be in the C-suite, be clear about what it is that you want and what you're looking for. It shouldn't be a secret, right? Because the more people that know about your goals and aspirations, if something comes down the pike, then you'll be top of mind for them to reach out to, right? So, building your brand and really putting it out there.
My father gave me one piece of advice. He says, don't be afraid to try anything, even just once. And, he was referring to, a few other life, non-business related
Non-business, yes.
But ultimately, I have applied that in everything that I do. People will say things about certain things that don't work. You have to try. You have to try just because other people have failed at it. And sometimes if it's really something that you want to do and you fail the first time, maybe you have to try harder. So I think, so the first one is try the first time. If it's something you're really passionate about, you have to try again. You're not always going to get it the first time. But I think, financial modeling skills, when I first built my first model, it was hard. And I had to constantly go at it time and time again. Fortunately, that was my job. Fortunately, the investment bank was paying me to build a three-way model. So I think that's the challenge for finance. No one's going to give you, weeks on end to build their model because you've got a whole lot of other things to do. So I think, one of the things is try, just give it a go. And I think that's really helpful.
I would say it's to develop my emotional intelligence. Okay. I once worked with a manager who told me that, look, the only way you can advance professionally and do that fast is if you learn how to work with people. And I found that to be very true. You could be ambitious, you can think, you can push, but nobody by themselves can. I strongly believe that you cannot achieve your full potential in isolation. You need to be able to work with people. You need to be able to collaborate and learn to understand people. And the only way you can build that is by developing your emotional intelligence. You have to be able to read people, know how to work with them, know how to bring out the best in them. And sometimes as you do that, you become a better person yourself, and then you're also able to become the best that you can be.
And on your journey developing that side of your skills, emotional intelligence, I suppose, what if other people were to follow that type of journey, like what's something they could practically work on to get going?
I would say go back to something I said earlier, Andrew, which is just to listen to people. Like really listen. Yeah, that's a skill that I see that we can never master, right? Sometimes you feel that, oh, I'm a good listener, but you have to keep asking yourself, am I really listening? Am I practicing good communication skill? You have to build yourself up in that.
So many years ago, and it was just many years ago. I'm not going to go into how old I am. And I remember, the derivatives were a big issue, and we learned, and there were things called, mortgage-backed securities and REMICs, real estate mortgage investment conduits, and a variety of different structures, financial structures that were being created. And I'm like, wow, this is just fascinating. So I started to learn more about it, and bought a textbook on it, put it on my desk. Started reading about my spare time, started talking to people about it. I think I did a couple of presentations on it. And what I found is that, that's where the gunfire was going, right? That's where all the hot stuff, the stock options or the litigation or whatever in my industry was going on. And what I found is that people gravitated toward me as an expert. Now, I didn't consider myself as an expert by any means, but they started coming to me with questions. And I started to want to answer them. And I love solving problems. I'm like, I don't know. Let me figure this out. And it grew from there to, writing for the Journal of Accountancy, a big publication, CPA Journal, a variety of other things on this topic, where I actually became one of the leading experts in the accounting analysis of complex securities, and was called upon, not only in my firm, but externally to, pontificate and write reports and so on this. What I mean by run toward the gunfire is I learned to it's another way of saying is zig when someone else zags, or, do what nobody else wants to do. And they're all saying the same thing. And, it's not saying, if you see a guy picking up dog poop, that seems like a great professional to go into it because nobody else wants to do it. But there's obviously opportunities where things are hard. And, just by taking a little bit of time, a little bit of interest, you can help yourself just personally and professionally by running toward that and learning about it and going and being part of that. And I think that was some great advice that I received and that I learned. And I received it from my father, but I didn't believe him because, you're you never believe anything. What do my parents know, right? They were right about a lot of things, Andrew. A lot of things.
I know. Like I'm not. Unfortunately, we don't tend to see these things at the time, but in hindsight, yes, definitely. I couldn't agree more.
And the second thing I just want to say too, there is communication. I talked about communication before, but in advice, the advice that was given to me is break things down into usable chunks. So let me put this another way. So everything that is complex must start out simple. It has to. There is no other way to get there. If you look at the human body, it is probably one of the most complex machines in existence. I didn't create it, obviously, it's been created. But, at our core, 99% of the mass of the human body is made up of 6 elements: oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, and phosphorus. 99% of it is made up of those 6 elements. And, those are elements that are, there's nothing, you can't break those down anymore, right? So is the human body easy? No. We have not even come close to that. We are not close to it. But it is simple to understand. And it's kind of like using Google. People, when I was the CFO of a digital marketing agency, people are like, well, I don't understand, why is Google so hard? Google works really hard to make it simple. It's just not easy. The algorithm behind it to get you the 50 million pages, of which they show you 10 on first page, which is most likely for you to be relevant to what you're looking for, is immensely hard, but it's so simple to use. And we use our bodies in the same way, right? It's so simple. We use it every day, but it's really created by 6 elements. By taking things and breaking them down into smaller chunks and understanding the simplicity within the complex in your communication, and then what we talked about before is building the story around it, that is some great advice. Look for the simplicity in the complex and communicate it effectively. I think everyone should look to do that.
I've had great mentors in my career. The best advice that I have received is, take a moment and step back. Sometimes, we are so in love with what we do, especially some of us who love numbers. And we just want to go ahead and dive into the analytics and dive into, I want to go and present this thing, and this is, and do this. But sometimes the advice that I've received is take a moment and step back. Step back, take a look at the bigger picture, and really try to understand, what are you trying to do before you delve into things. And hey, I'm going to request this person to get me 10 years worth of data of this, all of this stuff. And I'm going to do this kind of analysis. But if you take a moment to step back and really figure out, what are you trying to do? It helps to really narrow down and focus what you're trying to do. And help you to understand whether I really need to do this at at the level that I'm doing, or can I do it at very quickly, just prove it out before I request the 20-year worth of data that you need to do it. So that is the advice that I have received. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Be very good at like, let's get the 20-year worth of data, and we're going to get amazing analysis out of this.
Yeah. If you want to lose friends and alienate people, ask for more and more data when less could be done. So yeah, great advice.
And the second one on top of that is actually the same. In the same note, was doing back of the envelope. Calculations. Always be ready, because people are going to challenge your analysis. Is when you're putting that story together, do a back of the envelope analysis, check whether this makes sense or not. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Because if it's not, then they're going to quickly poke holes in your analysis, and that's it.
First, try always to work with great people. This is very important. Select, if possible, or influence, or try to go with a good boss, but also with good team, with good players. Don't be afraid of having strong peers. So don't be afraid of internal competition, because it's much better to play with a strong team than to be the strongest in a medium team. So in my opinion, it's better to be, let's say, the weakest in a strong team than the strongest in the weakest team. We can debate about it. But maybe I'm slightly oversaying. And then the other really that is I use this. It looks like an Americanism to a certain extent, but we have to learn, especially in Europe, in our culture, enjoy the game. So enjoy what you do. Really, we are all professionals. We are very well prepared. We have to really enjoy our daily activities, our meetings, our what we do, because it's a way to be also more relaxed and to appreciate what you are doing.
Don't take yourself so goddamn seriously. That's the best piece of advice I've ever been given. And it serves you well when you realize actually you can have a little bit of fun and you don't have to be so serious, and you show up with more playfulness in what you do. You lift the energy of the environment of the people you're with. You're more fun to be around. People are drawn to your energy because you're sending out this signal of, hey, come and talk to me because I'm approachable, I'm friendly, I'm interested, and I'm not so wedded to my computer that I'm looking like I don't want to be disturbed. So that was definitely the best piece of advice I got, because I did take myself incredibly seriously at the early part of my career. And I found my success in my career was exponential once I allowed myself to relax and have some fun, because we spend a lot of time at work with the people we work with. And there's plenty of times in our lives when things are, tough, that require us to be serious. But we don't have to be serious in order to be successful all the time. So I'd encourage not to take yourself so seriously and be a bit more playful in how you show up.
I don't know how I stumbled on it, but it's I started at probably at 36 years old. I asked my granddad, what advice he would give his 36-year-old self. And he said to me, you can gain everything in the world, Nigel, but if you lose your health, it was all for nothing. And I think that is the best part of it, right? The best part of it for me. And it's something that spurred kind of even us having this conversation today.
That's such a simple advice. Sometimes you just need to hear things like that.
Yeah, it floored me, right? And I've asked so many people, I asked so many people that question. If you sit down to meet me, I mean, I'm here in Jakarta and I'm in the hotel, and I was riding with the general manager last maybe a month and a half ago, and I was asking him the same question while we were riding. So riding here in Jakarta, which a lot of people won't believe is possible, but it's so simple, right? There's nothing new under the sun. It's just kind of how it finally hits home for you. But that's the best part, man. If you can gain everything, and if you lose your health, it's for nothing.
There we go. Like in a profession where a lot of the time we spend sitting down, it's like, oh, yeah. It's so important. Oh. Yeah, and no more lunches at desks as well, right? That's gotta try and cut that out.
But the thing about it is that one of the guys has said you treat lunch as your midday vacation, right? And my teams, we actually talked about it. We would sit and have lunch together, even when it was just a break, because it drives productivity in the afternoon, right? Like, the people who sit at their desk and think like, if I don't take a break, I'm going to be just more productive. And with all the distractions that we have, it just feeds on itself. So yeah, it's the way I call it is your vacation in the middle of the day, lunch.
I can remember it was, I think, my first German boss that I had, and he said, set up your own vision of where you want to go. And I think at the time, we were talking about other people complaining consistently, and he was like, just set your own vision of where you want to go, and then take the steps to get there. Put your head down and do the work, and that's kind of always what I've done. I've set my vision of what it is that I want to achieve. At the early days, it was that CFO position, and then it was CFO of a national sales company, reaching that top 300. And it's always served me very well to go for like a goal in mind, and quite an audacious goal, and then just move there, and the pieces kind of fall in place on the way there.
The best advice that I ever received in life was, from a finance perspective, was, go and work in the field. Right, watch what happens. Yeah. Then only, you'll be able to be a. So, for example, I learned that in my first job, we were short of staff so badly that we were like 30-40% understaffed. That everyone was caught in the opening phase. Right, it's like that. Like the scale up had not happened, but everyone was called upon to do everything. But in that aspect, learning every aspect of the business, right, really helped be, you knew everything that was going on, right? And you could make decisions accordingly. Similarly, in when we went to Maersk, one of my bosses gave me a really good advice. He said, you know what, forget about everything else. When you join, go with the operations manager and see an operation happen on the docks.
Definitely.
Really valuable lesson, because when we went, and when I went there, I walked up the ship up and down, watched the whole unloading, loading operation, and I exactly knew where everything was when I looked at my financials, because then everything else fell into place.
Well, I'll give two, but they are related. One was to say, do not accept things as they are. Always seek to change. And so the one who gave me the advice says, we all have a heritage. Okay, but we have to leave a legacy. And the legacy you leave becomes somebody's heritage. Now, if your heritage is the same as your legacy, you've made no improvement. What's your use in coming in there? So what the person then said is that pick your heritage. There are some things that won't be relevant to your circumstances, drop them and improve upon them and hand over something to somebody. So you pick a heritage, you develop it, and then it becomes a legacy that is valuable to somebody. That's one of the best advice. The second one that I received is, for a long while, I normally didn't want any restraint and control at all. I just want to run wild. And somebody said to me this. He said to me, you've got to find a balance between some form of control over your life and innovation. And this was an automotive engineer. And this conversation took place in Detroit. And he asked me this question. He says, Noah, which car would you drive fast? A car? So he first of all, let me backtrack. He said, if you take a car, the accelerator is freedom. Right. You do whatever you do. Yeah. The brake is constraint. Then he said to me, which car would you drive fast? A car without a brake or a car with a brake? And I said, of course, I'll drive a car with a brake very fast. Because I know if anything is happening, the brake will stop. Yeah. If the car has no brake, I won't drive very fast at all. Yeah. And he says, exactly. The purpose of a brake in a car is to liberate you, to be able to drive as fast as you want, because you know that if you need a brake, it is there. Yeah. And he says that if you're ever teaching control system, the purpose of control systems is to unleash innovation in you. Yeah. Without controls, your innovations would end up nowhere. It will go in any and every direction. It has to be channeled. And that is that. And that for me was the best advice. The example of a brake and the accelerator in a car.
That's so good.
Probably one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received was from my father. At the end of every day, you should be able to be proud of what you've achieved. Look yourself in the mirror and say, am I proud of what I've done? Yeah. Right? Because like one of the things I see is that there's so many people that need external affirmation of their value. Yeah. Right. Why does it need to be external? Why can you not value yourself? Be proud of what you've done, and say, well, somebody else might not like it, but I feel it was the right thing to do, and it what I did was in alignment with my core values.
So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to know more about our guests today, their bio, and follow up on the resources mentioned during the show, you can find all the relevant links and more at sitnshow.com. There you'll also be able to get access to earlier shows, read the latest blogs. There's also an opportunity to subscribe to our newsletter, which will give you heads up as to when the next show is coming out, latest events, news, and anything that's going to be relevant to help you have a fun, rewarding, and successful career in finance and accounting. And just before you go, we really appreciate your feedback. If there's something we can do better on the show, something that's not working, or something you'd like to see, even a guest you'd like for us to invite onto the show, someone who you think might be able to benefit you more and also the rest of our community, please let me know. You can email me. I'm at andrew@sitnshow.com, or feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just drop me a message so I know how you found me and we can connect. And really, it's our community that'll make the show. If we keep engaging and driving each other on, we'll keep on building our strength in the numbers. And when all is said and done, if we can do the numbers better and finance better, we'll create more opportunities for ourselves, our friends, our families, our communities, and our businesses. So until next time, have a good rest of the week, take care, and let's keep building our strength in the numbers.